Okay, in rugby union news, Israel Folau has had his contract with Rugby Australia terminated. This is obviously to do with his social media content on his Instagram and his Twitter and his things like that, and what he's been posting. He's attacked with because he's obviously got his religious views. He's attacked those of several social groups, including the LGBT community. He did this last year as well, about a year ago, led to a similar response, except he was warned about his future conduct and he was allowed to still be a contracted, centralised contracted player. The threat of sponsors walking away has, I believe, put pressure on Rugby Australia, and if he is to be, banished from rugby union, the NRL, with its current strong statement on, anti-violence against minorities and women, and its views on and its current disciplinary policy, if it was to sign up Israel Folau, that would make a mockery of their code of conduct. So Israel Folau could find himself without a career. He really could. There are those saying that he obviously wanted to get out the contract and he wanted to play in the top 14 in France. If that is the case, he won't be playing for Australia at the World Cup unless there is exceptional circumstances under the Matt Giteau rule. So the situation is stark. He was on big money. He was on the top paid rugby players in the world. He's one of the best rugby players in the world. That there can be no doubt. He's a superstar athlete. He's played in the NRL. He's played in Super Rugby. He's played in the AFL. Okay, the AFL was probably his least successful stint as a sportsman, but he's played 3 different codes of football in that sense. On the field, he is an exceptional talent. Absolutely. Top try scorer in Super Rugby history. Superstar, the best Wallaby they've had since David Campese. On the field, you cannot deny that he's a talent. Off the field, clearly this is where he falls below the standard expected under the code of conduct. There are those saying that he should have been sacked last year after his comments and social media posts. There are those trying to defend freedom of speech and freedom of expression. There has to be a fine line. He has been warned about his social media conduct. Where we go from here is, I don't know. But with what's happening in Australian sport, over their winter or summer, over Christmas, with so many scandals in rugby league and some in rugby union. There are some scandals in rugby union involving a few rugby union players. The image of Australian sport has been tarnished somewhat by a variety of scandals. This is probably the least damaging scandal there is, but the fact that he has previous in this area and he has been warned by the governing body to, adhere to strict social media guidelines, and that he's breached those social media guidelines in the code of conduct, which is part of a player's contract, he doesn't have a leg to stand on. There'll be those who say, this is an attack on freedom of speech and freedom of religion and freedom of expression, but there has to be a defining line between expressing your views because they're your views, and then hate speech, and then encouraging others to hate. And there's a big debate about that in global society, not just Australian society. But the Australian sporting psyche has been beset by so many scandals in the last year and a half that this is damage limitation by Rugby Australia. The fact that Qantas and other big sponsors are threatening to pull out, I think Vodafone's another one, is clearly concerning to Rugby Australia. They do have some fun. They're not the wealthiest of the big unions. The national side is not as good as what it once was compared to South Africa, New Zealand, England, for example, Ireland, Wales. They have declined as a national side. Israel Folau is a star player, but you have to then consider into the fact that the LGBT community has taken huge strides forward in their rights, and his comments damaged the relationship between the LGBT community and the sport as well. So it's going to be interesting whether he plays professionally elsewhere or still plays professionally in Super Rugby just without a centralised contract. It will mean he's on less money. Is the NRL brave enough to take him back, considering their stance with their code of conduct after all the scandals the NRL's had? And it's going to be interesting where we go from here. But for now, thank you very much for watching. And place your thoughts below on Israel Folau. This is going to be a very divisive topic, I know. And I'll have some more videos for you soon.